Let's talk about the morning feed routine. I always like to start off with the chickens first, and I get them their mixture of scratch grains and layer pellets. They stay in this coop, which is double secured, so letting them out is one of the most satisfying parts of the morning. Morning, guys. Come on. Breakfast. I take the grain in handfuls and kind of just throw it around the yard. While I'm working the other farm chores, I'll have to dump the pool and get the hose going so that all of the ducks and chickens have some fresh water. Once the chickens are fed, I move on to the horses. Dallas is always extremely excited to get her hay first. Once I'm done feeding the horses, I move on to our rabbits. Everyone gets a handful of hay and a refill on their water. Our standard reps, like Alpha here, get a half a cup of feed twice a day, where our mini reps get a quarter cup a day. The only difference is our little babies, who get a free-for-all on grain because they are growing and chunky. I use an old gallon jug for filling up the water in the rabbit barn, and I just fill it out at the horse spigot when I am filling up the water trough. I also have a stowaway. That's Snowy, who should not be over here and should be on the chicken side of the fence. Just got the water turned off, and my rooster knows he's still in trouble, so he's a bit on his best behavior right now. My two drakes are enjoying their morning dip in the pool, even though they cause a cesspit of mud after a while. Overall morning chores only take me about 10 to 30 minutes, depending on how much I want to lollygag. If I want to stare at the chickens or play with the bunnies, it takes me a little longer. If I'm in a rush to get to work, then I will speed through it. But I hope you enjoyed me on this morning of chores.
Finally found where all the freaking eggs are. They're under their freaking chicken coop. As you pull out the phone, pull the phone out. That's 9 that I counted in there. And pull the phone out. Pick you up. Alright, I just figured out where they were laying most of their eggs. I think I counted like 6 or 7. And there's 2 outside, so it's about 9. And let's see if there's any over here. Oh.
Sorry. I don't see any over there through the camera. You see any?
I see a bunch of...
trash?
No, I don't see it.
I said all the eggs are over here. Right there.
I thought there was only 7 or 9, but this is how many I was able to pull out. I think that's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16 eggs.
Okay. Let's talk about garden scraps and weeds. So every time I go down to my garden and something is bolting or it's starting to go bad, but I don't want to throw it out, I give it to these guys. Right now, the ducks are enjoying a lovely little harvest of bok choy seeds. And they're smoky coming in to try it. I do this for a couple of reasons. One reason is I don't like waste, and another reason is it makes my chickens super happy. So if I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone while getting rid of some garden scraps, I'm definitely going to do it. Because who can say no to happy little quacking and chirping faces? That, and it's extremely cute to watch them pluck off the seeds of a bolting plant. I mean, look how cute that is. They're just good little duckies. It's so cute. Let's talk about Blue and Saddle today. Both of these babies carry the Vienna gene from their mother, which in theory means that if I breed them to another Vienna carrier in the future, they could give me blue-eyed white babies. Each of these bunnies carry very different attributes that I like. When it comes to Blue, I love how her rear is. She has a nice rounded rear that has a great point right in the center of her body. Her shoulders can use a little bit more work in my opinion, but her rear end is nice and round. She has a gorgeous body, and I prefer her coloration better than her sisters. She's a darker caster, and if you blow on her fur, she has a better ring type in my opinion. When it comes to her face though, in a lot of ways, you see it earlier in the video, she looks terrified all the time. And it's not really my preferred look on Bunny. She just always looks scared. With that being said, I love her butterfly, which is this right here. She has a gorgeous little look to her. She does have some weird spotting on her ears, which is a part of the reason I will never show her. Next, we have Saddle. She's not quite as rounded. Her highest point is set further back, and if you look, she's kind of pinched. So if you look on the back, see how it comes in like this? She's kind of pinched in the rear. So I like her sister's body type better than hers, and then I also like Blue's coloration. But with Saddle, I will say there are some benefits. Saddle filled out a lot faster. So in my breeding program, it could be great because if I have a rabbit that fills out faster, makes a senior weight faster, in theory, that's going to cost me less hay and less feed in the long run. With that being said, Saddle has a nicer little head on her. So I have two very different ends of the spectrums from the same litter. So I'm going to take these girls, I'm going to breed Saddle to our buck Coco, and then I'm going to rebreed Blue to her dad because I like the attributes that they both have. And hopefully by combining father to daughter together in the form of line breeding, we can get better genetics. And I don't know if y'all have heard the joke, the only difference between line breeding and inbreeding is how good the kits show up. And with that, I will see myself out. Let's talk about the ducks today and what I do with these lovely, lovely guys. Right here we have our 3 older ducks, and they are Swedish blacks. We have 2 males and a female. And then right here I have 4 younger ducklings of a variety I have no clue. All of the ducks I do have are some sort of laying duck, and currently the only one producing is our Swedish black female. Her name is Brownie. But eventually I'm hoping that at least 2 or 3 of our little ducks will be females and will produce eggs for us. When it comes to ducks, we find that it's not only important to give them a water source such as a normal waterer, but we also make sure that they have a pool to splash around in and enjoy. And as you can see, Nico is really enjoying the water coming out of the hose. Ducks do require a bit different care than the chickens in that they can be a bit more aggressive, and you do have to keep an eye out that your male ducks, called drakes, do not hurt your hens. Thankfully, both of our male ducks are super sweet, and I have not had an issue with them harassing our hens. But in the future, if that is a problem, we can separate them out. But they were all raised together, so I think they just all think that they're the same thing. Another thing to keep in mind for your webbed feeded friends is that they are a lot messier than your chickens are. They have a more liquidy poop, and then they also like to mix up their water and their feed. So especially in the brooder phase, they can be extremely messy and require a ton of bed changing and flooring changing in order to stay healthy. When they're outside, all I have to do is just ensure that I move around their water source so that they evenly distribute themselves to destroying part of the pasture. And then finally, a fun little fact about our little ducks is, do you see that white chicken back there? That's Tweety. And when we initially put the ducklings out with the rest of the flock, she decided that she was going to be their mom. And if you saw earlier in my TikToks, you saw that she was very broody. She laid on them, she loved them, and she helped acclimate them into our flock. So good job, Tweety. You're a good mommy. Let's talk about the importance of weighing out your bunnies. For a senior rabbit like Peppers or Coco, I ensure to weigh them out about once a month to ensure that they're staying within breed standard weight. If they aren't, then I will cut down on their grain feeding, and if we're really having trouble, then I will also cut down their free range on hay to something a little more manageable in a slow feeding feeder. For my junior bunnies, such as Saddle and Blue here, I will weigh them out once a week until they reach a senior weight. These guys are currently about 12 weeks old, and they have already reached a senior weight. So now that they have reached that senior weight, I will start measuring them out once a month to ensure that they do not go over a senior weight and that they stay in their range. Finally, we have our itty bitty little babies. For the first 2 weeks of life, I will weigh our itty bitty babies twice a day to ensure that they are getting an adequate amount of mommy's milk, and if need be, supplementing out the runts or any others that need help. From about 3 to 8 weeks when they're weaned, I will continue measuring them out once a day just to ensure that they're gaining an adequate amount of weight. After they're weaned off of mommy, they start going on to a weekly scale as they are considered junior bucks and does at that point. And then the cycle just continues up until it is time for them to be culled, sold, or put back into the breeding program. I use a small food scale like this one to ensure weights are accurate, and then I also write it down on a piece of paper and put it into my digital logs. For me, it's important to check out weights to ensure that babies are growing, juniors are filling out, and that seniors stay at an adequate rate. I want to ensure that I have the best of best in my breeding program, and one of the ways I do that is through measurement, because a healthy bunny is one within weight standard. Unless, of course, you're Peppers here, and then you're always about 2 ounces over weight standard. But that's okay because he's gorgeous and he can be a little chunky. Alright, let's talk about how I keep weight on my old man. Spoiler alert, it's kind of disgusting. So to preface this is Mushu. He is my 18-year-old Morgan Arabian cross. So to begin with, he's already a bit thin looking. He is definitely not built like a quarter horse, and in his old age he does have some sway back. So there's a little background information on old Mushu. Mushu gets free access to pasture as well as 4 flecks of grass twice a day. On top of that, he gets 2 pounds of beetroot, 2 pounds of senior, we're almost out of nutrition pellets, 10 to 15 alfalfa cubes, and 1 scoop of senior weight accelerator. I put all of those into a bucket, fill it with hot water to soak for about 20 minutes, and you get this glorious wet slop. Not that Mushu cares. Mushu is loving it. Hey everybody, today we're going to go over what to do when you have baby bunnies that are orphaned or without a mother for whatever reason.
because no matter how hard you try, sometimes you just end up with bottle babies. With that being said, I'm going to show you everything you need to start with. It is very important that you keep good records of your baby bunnies. I suggest a little food scale where you'll measure them out twice a day to ensure they aren't losing any weight. You're going to use a kitten milk replacer. You're going to make this milk replacement as is directed, and then you're going to put in a single tablet of probiotics, and for every serving of milk you're going to put in a tablespoon of heavy whipping cream to make up for the fat content. You're going to mix that up and put it in your favorite reciprocal. My favorite is this tiny little eyedropper. As you can see, this little man is doing wonderful on it when it comes to feeding. It's also extremely easy to measure. You have a couple of different options when it comes to feeding your baby bunnies other than this. You have the teaspoon method, which I do not suggest for newborn babies. This is for older babies, but you can definitely try this method, though it is a bit messy, as you can see here. One of the first ways I've tried is with a bottle. It's not quite as successful. A lot of baby bunnies will not take a bottle, but a couple of them will. So if you want to try it, definitely go for it. Or you can use a syringe, that's even better. This is my goal for all the babies. Eventually they do eat out of this little container. My little black bunny right there is a bit of a jerk, but as long as everybody's getting milk, I am so happy. And I hope this really helped. So, something's wrong with one of my young cockerels. I came out, he was acting strange. This is the first time I've seen him act like this, and I have never seen this talked about within the chicken community, so I figured I could share some information with y'all, and maybe y'all can learn something and try to prevent this in your own flock. Sometimes it does just happen, though. This is called wry neck. Wry neck can be caused by a multitude of things, including head injuries, neurological problems, vitamin E, and selenium deficiencies, right? So basically this chick is just having trouble holding his head up correctly. I'm going to see if I can fix it tonight. What I'm going to do is I'm going to separate him out from his flock mates, give him his own private living quarters with water, food. I'm going to give him a little bit of broccoli and sweet potatoes to see if we can fix if it is a deficiency. And I'll keep an eye on him for the next couple of days to see if he gets better. If he doesn't get better, then there's also the option of putting him out of his misery because he's not having a good time right now. I'm also at the end of this clip going to put in a clip of what he looks like when he's moving around. It's kind of creepy looking, but hopefully this is just a vitamin deficiency and within the next couple of days he comes out of it. But if not, we gotta be fair to our animals. So this is wry neck, and it's a sad part about being a farmer.
So, I'm in a ranting kind of mood. What's new? But it has to be said, I already ranted about it on my Instagram, and that is, I don't care if you're on your property or not, right? I shouldn't have to worry about what I'm about to rant about, and that is, if your dog is not recall trained, and they will charge off their property onto a public road or a public trail to go after me and my mare, they have no right to be off leash. They need to either be on leash or fenced in. Because, for one, it's dangerous for your dog, right? My horse can definitely kill your dog. But also, it's dangerous for me and my mare. And when it happens, I have to re-break my mare to the road. My mare, who, despite being a red mare, is the most cool-headed mare in the world for the most part, right?
She's a bit spooky right now because last week when I had her out, we had a dog charge us on the road. Her first time ever out on the area we were in, brand new area, and this dog just charges us off their property and completely across the road. And any of my equestrian friends know that is super freaking scary. So, PSA for all you jackasses that don't know it. If your dog's not recall trained, if your dog is going to charge off your property and try to bite me, you better put it on a leash. 'Cause one of these days I'm not going to be so nice. Actual conversations that have happened when I worked in a tack store. Hi, welcome to the tack store. Yes, I'm here to pick up a saddle from consignment. All right, not a problem. Can I please get an ID and a consignment number, please? Here's the receipt. I'm so disappointed at how long this saddle's just been sitting here unsold. Well, ma'am, the saddle's only been here for a week, and normally on consignment it takes about a month for a saddle to sell. I still think it should have been sold by now. Ma'am, I am so sorry, but your ID doesn't match the consignment contract I have here. Well, I'm here to pick it up for a friend. I know, ma'am, and again, I am so sorry, but I have to follow store policy. Do you know how much time I wasted in coming here today? And you're just gonna send me off without that saddle. I understand that, but I can't give you the saddle. I am so sorry. Do you know who I am? I mean, your ID says Karen Smith, but other than that, no, I don't. I am one of the most requested pleasure judges in this county. And if you don't give me that saddle, I can guarantee that anyone sponsored by this store will never place in competition again. Ma'am, we're barrel racers and 3-day eventers. Well, I'm just gonna take that saddle, and there's nothing you can do to physically stop me. I mean, I'm not physically gonna stop you, but I will say if you take the saddle out of the store, the police will get involved. This is ridiculous. I'm gonna be having a conversation with the owner of the store. You know, he and I go back ways, and I will make sure that you are fired. I'm gonna get out of here. This place isn't even worth my money. Have a wonderful day, Miss Karen. I really wish somebody would fire me.